More on this, let's bring in Stephen Vaughn, former General Counsel to the U.S. Trade Representative. Stephen, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here. I was kind of surprised at how shocked our Treasury Secretary Bessent was willing to admit to having been when we got that news of what China was doing. I want to roll that tape and get your impression. Roll it.
We're not sure where this came from, why the Chinese have decided to do it now. Because you can see that that the United States is led by a man of peace, Donald Trump, and China. That this was a provocative move. We have substantially de-escalated. President Trump said that the tariffs would not go into effect until November 1st. He will be meeting with Party Chair Xi in Korea. I believe that meeting will still be on.
So it does seem like the administration was caught flat-footed by all this, although at the beginning of that, Scott mentioned the man of peace that Donald Trump has now become. I'm wondering if they're trying to steal some of his spotlight. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, I don't really think it's a question of being caught flat-footed, right? In other words, this was a blunder on China's part. It was a mistake. They had a more stable situation with the president. They had set up these meetings between President Trump and President Xi. And I think everybody was under the assumption that they were going to wait and see how those talks went. By taking this sort of, over-the-top action that they did last week, they provoked the president and provoked the administration in ways that are ultimately not going to be helpful from China's perspective. So I don't blame the secretary for not anticipating that they would make this type of a mistake. But I certainly think China's position now is worse than it was a week ago.
But, this isn't just a small mistake. This is a huge blunder, if indeed it is a mistake. I mean, they, as Scott said, they pointed a bazooka at the world's supply chains. I just wonder, why would they do that? I mean, did they think they know how to deal with Trump? They had one term where they already did it with you guys in office. They know he doesn't respond well to that kind of slap in the face.
They have their own hawks and people over there as well, and I think the secretary is wise to be leaving open the possibility that this was done by some sort of a faction over there that was trying to harm relations with the United States. I think the president is wise to set these deadlines of November the 1st to give China more time to think through sort of the consequences of what was announced last week. China's under a lot of pressure right now. They're running into trade barriers from other countries as people start to realize, how their system works. They've built up way too much capacity in a lot of key industries, and they're finding it difficult to find markets for that. And so, I think they tried this last week. My guess is they're going to back off.
I'm wondering what kind of leverage, other than the threat of 100% tariffs that the president made on Friday, do we have any other leverage we could use against them? I'm thinking of their increase in the use of coal and some other materials that we provide them with. Would that be? I mean, they also rely on Boeing parts for some of their planes that they bought from us. I mean, any other kind of leverage we could use against them?
Sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of different things that we could do. They rely in a lot of ways on on the global financial system, and obviously we play a big role in that. They want to buy a lot of assets in the United States, and we have a lot to say about that. So there's a lot of different pressure points that we have on them. Ultimately, their biggest problem is they have excess capacity, and they are relying on exports to keep those factories running. And if they don't find a way to have a more balanced economy, they're going to keep running into these type of problems again and again. Now, we are a huge market, and therefore we represent an opportunity for them. But obviously, with this type of behavior, they're throwing away their chances for a better relationship with the United States.
Now, there have been some companies that have been making, you have to pay more for the rare earths if you source them from someplace other than China, whether it's France or in the United States. GM made this terrific deal with MP Materials. They're based in California. Back in 2021, I don't know if they saw this coming, but they realized they wanted to diversify. Again, it costs them more for rare earths from California, but do you think we would get to the point, or maybe even during the next year or so, where we would not be reliant on China for some of these rare earths?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that obviously you have a situation here where, it's not like we can't make rare earths or have rare earths here in the United States. We certainly can. And if it makes sense, if they are not a credible source of supply, then obviously companies are going to make these decisions and make additional investments, and then that's what we'll do.
Yeah, well, and then they're out of the game entirely. So they better watch their steps. Stephen Vaughn, great to have you here, Stephen. Appreciate it.